Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I go over the essential accessories you need to help speed up your games of Kill Team. Now before I get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment down in the episode description below as what you thought and what you like to use when you're playing Kill Team. And probably, if I have time, I should have an article version of this video down in the episode description below if you want something more solid to reference. And as always, it's more of a general guide today because obviously there's a lot of variation and choice, especially depending on where you're situated in the world. I will link what I use. I'll declare I'm not sponsored by any of these companies I'm talking about, so it's all just my personal opinion. But if you want to buy from them, the stuff I use will be linked down below. But it'll be framed in such a way so you can use anything really, but it's just what I use. And yeah, this will hopefully help speed up your games of Kill Team or making things a bit clearer for you and your opponent, because I feel accessories can often be looked over or over-examined, but this is just what I use for my games, and you probably would have seen them in my bat reps as well as pictures when playing at tournaments with me, because that's what I use. So hopefully this will be a really useful video for anyone trying to take Kill Team a little bit more seriously or looking for something to help make their games a bit more clearer for both you and your opponent. So as I clarified in the introduction, here are some key essential accessories you'll need for your Kill Team games. Obviously it's going to be very generalized as I covered, but I'll give specific examples you can use. Now the first thing is a token case for everything you'll need inside. Now this is just what I bought off Amazon, which I'll put in the episode description, but these are really handy. This one is large but also very secure. And it contains everything you need. Obviously, I've put a lot of stuff in there, but you can get various sizes. I've also glued mine down because these have removable, dividers. But if you do glue it down, especially with super glue, remember to wash it out after it's dried. Otherwise, you'll get all this white residue anywhere. But yeah, first things first, obviously a container, which can vary from any size. And this one cost me £8, but if you just want for tokens, you can get very small and cheap. But the first thing I actually recommend is this Army Painter laser guide. So the cool thing about this is it accurately measures your cover lines without you having to imagine or going, I see this is this. Now let me show you. So I'll move this out of the way. So with the power of pressing a button, which you've probably seen in my battle reports, ta-da, it does a straight line. Now the closer you get, the smaller it is. Further away, the longer it is. So it's incredibly useful. It actually comes out brighter on the video, which is interesting, but it's still pretty bright and clear, and it allows you to measure cover lines. So for example, let me just grab some miniatures. So I've got, for example, there, even though it's quite clear, you can go from that point. Actually, yeah, if you were the attacking Custodes player, that's actually pretty bad. You would actually see, if you measured from that point, from the edge of the base, you would actually be able to shoot that without obscuring, but even then that's behind cover and stuff. It's just a really useful tool. It's only about £6 to £8. I know it's £6 from Element Games. Any laser pointer will do, but I found the Army Painter one is the most useful. It's the one Charles, my friend, recommended to me, and oddly, when we went to our first Warhammer World Tournament, pretty much everyone was using these. Well, all the experienced players, shall we say. And it's just really useful. It saves a lot of arguments and just pre-measuring, because you can declare stuff going, I'm moving so I can I'm going to be able to shoot you even though you're behind cover. So you can do stuff. Okay, now I need to move here to make sure I can shoot you without by bypassing your engage order. Your conceal order. So it's incredibly useful and it's quite cheap. Only needs one battery, which it comes with, and is quite cheap to replace. So I'd highly recommend the Army Painter laser pointer. Next, I'd recommend a score tracker. While there's lots of ways to do this with dice, pen and paper is probably the cheapest and easiest. I've seen it with dice, but the problem with dice, you can go, it's these are my dice, whatever, all my D6s, and then this is what I scored here, and then it's just really easy to lose track of. I like using the Art of War Studios Kill Team dial. So this is solid black with, just solid black. So the only problem with these, you have to color it in. So I've colored it in with crayons. So let me bring it closer to the camera. So as you can see, the top row is each victory point you've scored per turning point. The second row is your TAC ops. The third row is your total victory points, and the bottom is your command points. So the cool thing is it shows you can only score a maximum of 4 victory points per turning point, and then it shows you which tac ops you've scored by you assigning a number to them, and then you've got your VP total. So the only downsides are you have to colour this in. It's only about £10, I think. I'm just going to put a link in the description. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by any of these guys I'm mentioning. The other downside I'll say is the VP total is really difficult to move while stuck together. So what I like to do is just separate it. So I'll track the VP tracker separately, total, and then I'll have these totaling up what I've scored each turning point. And the cool thing is, as I said, it clearly clarifies what you've scored each turning point, what tac ups you've scored, so you don't have to use dice or pen of paper to keep track of. And it's very tough, snazzy. And once you've enjoyed colouring in, it's really clear. I've used orange Crayola crayons here, and it's really, 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 really good. But you could use any dark colour with white, for example, or whatever colour combination you choose. But I think this is really useful. Does get fingerprint a lot, which you just have to wipe away, but it's clear, strong, and reliable. So following on from score trackers, wound trackers are obviously incredibly useful because generally operatives can tank a lot of wounds ranging from anywhere from 7 all the way up to 19 wounds. So while D10s are a really nice stand-in, problem with D10s is, once again, they're dice, and it's easy to lose track of, especially if you've got fighters with operatives with different wounds. So you might need D20s, D10s, D16s, whatever. You get the picture. So this is where I recommend any sort of wound dial. So I've got here, this company doesn't exist anymore, so I'll put them to one side. But you get this, you get the gist. So I'll pick up one I've coloured in. So it's just an acrylic wound dial that will just, I can slide to whatever number wounds my operative has left. So these are just very clear. They are quite large, but you can get them in various sizes. Once again, I've picked some up from Art of War Studios. So I've got their 10 wound dials here and their 15 wound dials here. So the 10 ones are quite small. Once again, I went with black and orange. It's not too great picking up on here, but as you can see, you can slide up to the number to show how many wounds an operative has left. And then you've got their larger ones, which I generally use, especially for operatives with more than 10 wounds, because this goes all the way up to 15. So not great for custodies and stuff, but you can get wound dials that go up to varying levels. I would say the only downside with the Art of War ones is I've super glued in all the magnets, at least to the bottom disc. So because they separate, so you've got the top half, which is a dial, and the bottom, which is the numbers. Just because the magnets are quite loose on this compared to their tournament tracker dial, which just slots everything in with friction. Their wound dials are a lot more loose. So you'll need to use super glue to keep the magnets in place, otherwise it'll just fall out. But otherwise, it's pretty good and cheap, and a lot of people make wound dials, so you can pick whatever suits your need. I've just got Art of War ones here. Next, we have acrylic movement gauges. Any movement gauges will apply, and you actually get a decent supply of movement gauges in the Kill Team starter set or Octarius box. The only problem is I like having more, and while the GW ones are nice, like the measuring stick, let me just bring it out. The measuring stick is nice. The only problem is it's still a little thick, but I like this. It's okay. The wedges are nice, but they're way too thick for my liking. But acrylic ones are great, and once again, you can get them from any company. I've got mine from Counterattack Bases, partly because I can customize them. But this is 6 inches, so red, 2 inches, so white, 3 inches, so blue, and then 1 inch, so black. So I can do all of that. And I would highly recommend getting as many as these small wedge movement gauges that you can. So these ones are basically ones I got for Age of Sigmar, but they're so useful because you can help map out 3-inch, blue ranges so effectively, and you can do multiple things. And having more gauges makes it easier to accurately measure out things. Of course, you can use a tape measure. A tape measure is fine, but when you're trying to measure around corners, the gauges really come into a life of their own. Let me just show you how much more I have. So I've got those, and I've also got some more I've ordered just because I found the 3-inch ones really useful. May order also a 4-inch range movement stick just to get some more 4-inch measurements when I'm trying to measure too white. But otherwise, any sort of movement gauge will do really well. I'll pop the link down if you want from Counterattack Bases, but these are what I use at the moment just because, well, they're in the UK like I am, and I can get them quite affordably, and they're nice and clear, and I can customize them as well if you want to customize your own. But once again, any sort of acrylic company can basically do their own measurement gauges, so it's up to you to find out what you like the most. Now, what else is a useful thing to have for when you're playing Kill Team is a turn counter. Now, you can get various turn counters of varying styles, but if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know I use door numbers. Now, why do I use door numbers? Also, my neighbors don't get any posts. No, but really, I use them because they're clear, loud, and, well, it's hard to miss. And with Kill Team, I've had to buy a 4th number because Underworld's only had 3 turns, so now I've had to buy a 4th. But the thing is, like, I had a tournament basically where me and my opponent got mixed up on the turn. I thought it was turn 2, he thought it was turn 3 at the end of the game, and effectively I couldn't prove it with my acrylic dial because I forgot to change it. And I was like, I need something big that I won't forget. Door numbers. Door numbers are really useful. That's £2.50 each. But, you know, you don't have to use door numbers. You could use a big D6. I've seen friends use that. Anything nice and clear for you and your opponent, because you can't really argue when you slam the numbers down, and, you know, it's just something clear and useful to have. You can be like me and get door numbers, or get whatever suits your needs. And lastly, we have acrylic counters. Now, while you actually don't need these, you get enough card ones if you start off with the Kill Team starter set or whatever. The only problem with the card stock is it's quite flimsy, and effectively everyone is using it, so it's quite easy to get mixed up. Now, once again, you can use any sort of acrylic markers, but, you know, I've found these ones and I think they're the best. So they are by the same token, who are based in the UK but ship internationally, I think just like Art of War Studios. And for me, these are the best acrylic tokens I've ever encountered. Now, they were recommended for me by my friends who play X-Wing, because X-Wing has some of the best acrylics in the game, and by the same token do that for Kill Team. I mean, X-Wing as well as a multitude of other game systems, but their recent Kill Team acrylic tokens are amazing. They're pre-painted, one side white, the other side's orange. They're high quality. They do cost more, I would say, than normal, but that's because they're pre-painted. They're thick, so they're nice and easy to pick up. They're very clear, and it's just really useful. I've actually bought everything they have apart from the wound dials, and on reflection, I probably should have bought the wound dials. But I just found everything here really useful. You've even got a dagger, well, combat knife for initiative, to show you as initiative. But even if you just want their engage and conceal orders, they're really useful and very clear. Like, for example, that's the engage. So this is ready, and that's activated. This is conceal, and it's activated. So let me bring them closer for you to see. So as you can see, they're really, well, they're very high quality, and, you know, they do reflect light, but not too much. They're just very nice and sturdy and clear. And each one, I think, will set you back 10 conceal or 10 engage for about £7. And you can either buy their Etsy store direct. Then they've got some nice objectives, which I use for objective markers. They also they make all the counters you find in cards. So you've got the miscellaneous markers here, which, like, there's their melter bombs and loot crates. And then they also have +1 and -1 APL markers, which I've been using a lot more. Now I've been playing with more bespoke kill teams, and you get those in white and black, white and orange, and the reverse is just either plus or minus. But honestly, by the same token, are the best acrylic I've ever used. And if you were going to choose acrylic counters, I would highly recommend these. Obviously, if you're based in other countries where you don't want to pay such a high shipping rate, which is, I don't know how much it costs to ship from the UK, but you may be able to find more appropriate local sources. But I would always recommend acrylic counters. They do cost more, but they last better, they're more durable. The only downside is they might be cheaper, but then you might have to paint them either with crayons or paintbrushes. But these are highly useful, and you'll be seeing them in all my battle reports and every tournament I play in, because that's what I use. Just really good. But once again, you don't have to be locked into what I recommend. You can use what you're comfortable with, which is local to you and obviously within your price range. These are, once again, more pricey than normal, but I think you're paying for quality here. You don't have to buy everything like I did because I'm mad, but if you do, you won't be disappointed. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that look at the accessories I use. Hopefully they were nice and clear and made sense. I did try, as I said, to be quite general, but referencing what I use. I will say, by the same token, are like the best. It's a shame they don't do a score tracker, but the Art of War one is really good. And then, yeah, that laser pointer. If you were going to get anything from this video, the laser pointer is the best. It's like, I can't tell you how many players use it, and it just helps speed up games. And as I said, you would have seen it in battle reports I'm using, and I use it all the time when I'm playing. It just helps make things really clear. Just don't, like, the only problem I forgot to mention is sometimes you forget which way it's up. So I've a few times accidentally glanced into my own laser. So don't do that, but it's still the best one that I use. And yeah, hopefully everything was really useful. So if you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe, as well as comment about what you thought of the accessories used, whether nice and clear. Do you think they're even needed, or what do you like to use? It would be interesting to hear. So I know there's a bit of a wait, but hopefully I should have more Kill Team content coming up. I'll be playing in the Kill Team tournament of Bad Moon on this coming Sunday of the week this video is released, testing out a new Kill Team. So it should be fun. And yeah, after a bit of a break, kind of, because due to work, yeah, it should be back on the content stream. So hopefully more videos soon. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember, even when rolling crits, you can still do it stylishly with acrylic tokens at your side.